Portugal's president has admitted a military warehouse close to the capital, Lisbon, has been raided. Officials haven't given any specific details, although leaks have emerged claiming to state the amount of weaponry and munitions that have gone missing. The president's called for an investigation, adding that it's not the first raid of its kind.
We must thoroughly investigate all the facts. Similar incidents have been reported in other NATO countries over the past 2 years.
Newspaper reports suggest that more than 150 grenades were taken out of a huge range of equipment stored in the warehouse. A large quantity of ammunition and units of plastic explosives were also taken. The country's defence minister has warned that the weapons are likely to find their way onto the black market. A NATO report stated back in 2011 that if such a thing was to happen, weapons and munitions would likely be used in terror plots. Well, RT has contacted NATO on the matter and they confirmed that the incident did not happen at a NATO facility. They also said responsibility lies with the Portuguese authorities to investigate what happened. Well, let's discuss this further now with Chris Hunter, author and former British Army officer. Mr. Hunter, thank you for joining us on the programme. Now, the Portuguese Defence Minister fears that these stolen arms could fall into the wrong hands. How much should European countries be concerned about this?
I think there's a huge amount of concern right now, to be honest with you. On Saturday, there was a shipment of handguns, around, I think, 79 handguns and associated ammunition intercepted in France that was bound for the United Kingdom. And, of course, we've seen this particular incident where, you know, if the reports are to be true, somebody cut into the fence of a weapons storage facility. They didn't go to the two storehouses that were closest to the fence. They went to two specific storehouses which were further away than other ammunition and weapons storage facilities. So it sounds like, you know, there was definitely some sort of prior knowledge, potentially what we would call an insider attack. And of course, you've stated some of the quantities there, which are certainly consistent with other reports that have been released. So this is incredibly worrying. What we've tended to see is the use of improvised explosive devices and the use of conventional firearms, weapons, pistols, assault rifles, that sort of thing. What we're seeing here, of course, is the opportunity and the potential for terrorists and criminals to use conventional military ordnance, which is significantly more powerful and more dangerous.
Perhaps even more concerning is that it appears this isn't the first time something like this has happened. The Portuguese president said that this has happened before in NATO countries. Do you think this shows that there may be a major security lack at NATO facilities?
Well, I think if you look at the number of NATO facilities and you look at the relative infrequency with which incidents like this are reported, I wouldn't say there's a major threat. What I would say is that any particular, any breach of security at any one of these facilities is of significant concern because the consequences, of course, are dire. So it's not necessarily the fact that it's happened before or, that there's major security concerns. Certainly with this particular facility, one of the reports, and of course it's early days, one of the reports is that the CCTV hadn't been working for 2 years, which again, corroborates and suggests the fact that it may be someone with insider knowledge. But ultimately, any breach of a facility, whether it's a NATO facility or any other military organisation around the world, has significant consequences.
There is one Spanish news outlet that claims to have had access to the list of stolen arms, and if true, the quantity is quite large. We're talking thousands of rounds of ammunition and hundreds of grenades. Now, if confirmed, how would it be possible to steal so much at one time?
Well, I think, that same report that allegedly comes from Spain suggests that a hole was cut into the fence, that two storage facilities in particular were raided. Now, just getting into these sort of storage facilities themselves requires, a significant level of knowledge, definitely a professional job, if you like. If you try to overmatch the security systems that are in place without knowing how to get into them or without having, the necessary keys and entry equipment, then, they're very difficult to bypass. So I think, ultimately this is a well-planned, pre-planned, probably with some sort of insider influence type job. And if that's the case, then I would imagine they had the necessary logistics to support them in removing and transporting these munitions and the equipment that was stolen.
On that note, Chris Hunter, author and former British Army officer, thank you for sharing your expertise on the matter.
Thank you.